Quick note, this is an AI-assisted recap made for learning, not the original video, and not an official translation. Our guest, Nick Hsu, casually fires off around 30 AI agents all at once, goes to sleep for the night, and wakes up to find much of his code already written and quietly fixed for him overnight. And yet, with the very same tools freely available to everyone, fewer than 1% of people actually produce real, finished results. This recap asks one simple question: why? Nick's very first claim is blunt: today's top models already outperform many experienced, senior engineers on the actual day-to-day work of writing, reading, and debugging real code. So the valuable human skill is shifting. It's no longer about typing out the code yourself, line by line, it's about steering the AI, something he calls harness engineering. You set the direction, define the goal clearly, and drive the models hard, while they handle the heavy lifting of producing, testing, and correcting the work. If the models are this good and available to all, why do so few people get results? Nick's answer is that the tool is only half the story. The real gap is skill, taking one big, fuzzy goal and breaking it down into small, clear, non-overlapping pieces that agents can actually pick up and execute one by one. Most people just ask for a finished product in one vague sentence and hope for the best. The 1% instead patiently decompose the big problem into small tasks, and then drive the agents toward the goal, step by step. So how do you actually run around 30 agents at the same time without them tripping over each other? The key, Nick says, is a clean, deliberate division of labor decided up front. Nick gives each agent a clear, tightly defined scope that deliberately doesn't overlap with any of the others, much like a manager assigning separate modules and files to different members of one team. When the boundaries are this sharp, agents don't collide, their edits don't clash, and dozens of them can work in parallel on one shared project. What about the loud talk of an AI bubble? Nick splits the question into two very different sides that people constantly mix up together. On the capital side, valuations and prices can absolutely run hot and cold, swinging with hype and fear like any other speculative market. But on the application side, the real usefulness of these tools keeps climbing steadily upward. So prices may be a bubble, the underlying value clearly is not. This shift is already rewriting how companies hire. The question is no longer just how well you personally code or how many years you've worked. Instead, employers increasingly want to know how effectively you can command AI, how much real work an agent can accomplish on your behalf. In practice, one skilled person driving a whole fleet of agents can now do the work that used to take an entire team of engineers, and interviews are already starting to reflect that new reality. From here, Nick offers a blunt forecast about the shape of future companies. He thinks organizations will collapse toward just two essential kinds of people. On one side, the builders who actually create the product, on the other, the sellers who bring it to customers and turn it into revenue. The middle layer, the managers whose main job is to relay messages and coordinate between teams, is, in his blunt view, the part most likely to be squeezed out and cut. But here's a genuine puzzle Nick keeps running into. Teams using these tools can lift their raw output by something like 10 times. And yet, strangely, the actual revenue often barely moves at all. The huge jump in productivity simply doesn't show up in the numbers yet. His explanation is that the surrounding work, the market, the processes, the demand, is still shaped like the old world and hasn't caught up. Looking further out, Nick believes a real productivity shock is coming. In his view, it's not a question of if, but simply of when it lands. When machines can do so much so cheaply, some jobs and whole ways of working will genuinely be disrupted, and that transition won't be painless. He expects governments to step in and buffer the blow with policy and support, softening the impact, though they can slow it, not stop it. So if AI drives the cost of doing almost anything down towards zero, what real value is left for us humans to contribute? Nick's answer is grounded. What remains is judgment, taste, and the wisdom to choose what is actually worth building in the first place, the direction, not just the execution. Fittingly, Nick left the exchange and is using AI to rebuild a surf school. The original video is linked in the description, go watch the full thing. See you next time.